keep you in my heart. In my heart is where you are. I still think of you. I want you coming back. I remember when we were staring at a photo. Don't forget the way you look me in the eyes. And I keep you in my heart.
Beloveds, my name is Gloria and I am doing a vlogmas Bible reading series. We are reading the Gospel of Luke, chapter 19, the story of the short man. Zacchaeus, the tax collector. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man named Zacchaeus lived here. He was a chief tax collector and was very rich. Zacchaeus wanted to see who Jesus was, but he was a short man. He could not see Jesus because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree. He wanted to see Jesus, who was coming that way. Jesus reached the spot where Zacchaeus was. He looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, come down at once. I must stay at your house today." So Zacchaeus came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this. They began to whisper among themselves. They said, "Jesus has gone to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up. He said, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of what I own to those who are poor. And if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay it back. I will pay back 4 times the amount that I took." Jesus said to Zacchaeus, "Today salvation has come to your house. You are a member of Abraham's family line. The Son of Man came to look for the lost and to save them." The story of the 3 servants. While the people were listening to these things, Jesus told them a story. He was near Jerusalem. The people thought that God's kingdom was going to appear right away. Jesus said, "A man from an important family went to a country far away. He went there to be made king and then returned home. So he sent for 10 of his servants. He gave them each about 3 months' pay. "Put this money to work until I come back," he said. But those who ruled over hated him. They were sent to say, "We don't want this man to be our king." But he was made king and returned home. Then he sent for the servant he had given the money to. He wanted to find out what he had earned with it. The first one came to him. He said, "Sir, your money has earned 10 times as much." "You have done well, my good servant," his master replied. You have been faithful in a very small matter, so I will put you in charge of 10 towns." The second servant came to his master. He said, "Sir, your money has earned 5 times as much." His master answered, "I will put you in charge of 5 towns. Then another servant came. He said, "Sir, here is your money. I have kept it hidden in a piece of cloth, and I was afraid of. You are a hard man. You take out what you did not put in. You harvest what you did not plant." His master replied, "I will judge you by your own words, you evil servant. So you knew that I am a hard man. You knew that I take out what I did not put in. You knew that I harvest what I did not plant. Then why didn't you put my money in the bank? When I come back, I could have collected it with interest." Then he said to those standing by, "Take his money away from him. Give it to the one who has 10 times as much." "Sir," they said, "he already has 10 times as much." He replied, "I tell you that everyone who has will be given more. But here is what will happen to anyone who has nothing. Even what he has will be taken away from him. And what about my enemies, who did not want me to be king over them? Bring them here, kill them in front of me." Jesus enters Jerusalem. After Jesus had said this, he went on ahead. He was going up to Jerusalem. He approached Bethphage and Bethany. The hill there was called the Mount of Olives. Jesus sent out 2 of his disciples. He said to them, "Go to the village ahead of you. As soon as you get there, you will find a donkey's colt tied up. No one has ever written it. Untie it and bring it here. Someone may ask you, why are you untying it? If so, say the Lord needs it. Those who were sent ahead went and found the young donkey. It was there just as Jesus had told them. They were untying the colt when its owners came. The owners asked them, why are you untying the colt? They replied, the Lord needs it. Then the disciples brought the colt to Jesus. They knew their coats on the young donkey and put Jesus on it. As he went ahead, people spread their coats on the road. Jesus came near the place where the road goes down the Mount of Olives. There the whole crowd of disciples began to praise God with joy. In loud voices they praised him for all the miracles they had seen. They shouted, blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. May there be peace and glory in the highest heavens. The authority of Jesus is questioned. One day Jesus was teaching the people in the temple courtyard. He was preaching the good news to them. The chief priests and the teachers of the law came up to him. The elders came with them. Tell us by what authority you are doing these things, they all said. Who gave you this authority? Jesus replied, I will also ask you a question. Tell me, was John's baptism from heaven or did it come from men? They talked to each other about it. They said, if we say from heaven, he will ask, why didn't you believe him? But if we say from men, all the people will throw stones at us and kill us. They believed that John was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, we don't know where John's baptism came from. Jesus said, then I will not tell you by what authority I am doing these things either. The story of the renders. Jesus went to tell the people a story. A man planted a vineyard, he said. He rented it out to some farmers. Then he went away for a long time. At harvest time, he sent a servant to the renders. They were supposed to give him some fruit of vineyard. But the renders beat the servant. Then they sent him away with nothing. So the man sent another servant. They beat that one and treated him badly. They also sent him away with nothing. The man sent a third servant. The renders wounded him and threw him out. Then the owners of the vineyard said, what should I do? I have a son and I love him. I will send him. Maybe they will respect him. But when the renders saw that the son, they talked the matter over. This is the one who will receive all the owner's property someday, they said. Let's kill him, then everything will be ours. So they threw him out of the vineyard and they killed him. What will the owner of the vineyard do to the renders? He will come and kill them. He will give the vineyard to others. When the people heard this, they said, we hope this never happens. Jesus looked right at them and said, here is something I want you to explain the meaning of. It is written, the stone that the builders didn't accept has become the most important stone of all. Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken into pieces, but the stone will crush anyone it falls on. The teachers of the law and the chief priests looked for a way to arrest Jesus at once. They knew he had told the story against them, but they were afraid of the people. It is right to pay taxes to Caesar. The religious leaders sent spies to keep a close watch on Jesus. The spies pretended to be honest. They hoped they could trap Jesus with something he would say. Then they could hand him over to the power and authority of the governor. So the spies questioned Jesus. Teacher, they said, we know that you speak and teach what is right. We know you don't favor one person over another. You teach the way of God truthfully. It is right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not. Jesus saw they were trying to trick him, so he said to them, show me a silver coin whose picture and words are on it. Caesar's, they replied. He said to them, then give Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. They were not able to trap him with what he had said. there in front of all the people. Amazed by this answer, they became silent. Marriage when the dead raise. The Sadducees do not believe that people raise from the dead. Some of them came to Jesus with a question. Teacher, they said, Moses wrote for us about a man's brother who dies. Suppose the brother leaves a wife but has no children. Then the man must get married to the widow. He must give children to carry on his dead brother's name. There were 7 brothers. The first one got married to a woman. He died without leaving any children. The second one got married to her. Then the third one got married to her. One after another. The 7 brothers got married to her. They all died. None left any children. Finally, the woman died too. Now then, when the dead raised, whose wife will she be? All 7 brothers were married to her. Jesus replied, people in this world get married and their parents give them to get married. But it will not be like that when the dead rise. Those who are considered worthy to take part in what happens at that time won't get married and their parents won't give them to be married. They can't die anymore. They are like the angels. They are God's children. They will be given a new form of life when the dead rise. Remember the story of Moses and the bush. Even Moses showed that the dead raised. The Lord said to him, I am the God of Abraham. I am the God of Isaac, and I am the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead. He is not the God of living. In his eyes, everyone is alive. Some of the teachers of the law replied, you have spoken well, teacher, and no one dared to ask him any more questions. Whose son is the Christ? Jesus said to them, why do people say that the Christ is the son of David? David himself says in the book of Psalms, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under control. David calls him Lord. So how can he be David's son? All the people were listening. Jesus said to his disciples, watch out for the teachers of the law. They like to walk around in the long roads. They love to be greeted in the marketplace. They love to have the most important seats in the synagogue. They also love to have the places of honor at dinner. They take over the houses of widows. They say long prayers to show off. God will punish those men very much. The Widower's Offering, Chapter 21. As Jesus looked up, he saw rich people putting their gifts into the temple offering boxes. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. What I'm about to tell you is true, Jesus said. The poor widow has put in more than all the others. All of those other people gave a lot because they are rich. But even though she is poor, she put in everything. She had nothing left to live on. Signs of the end. Some of Jesus' disciples were talking about the temple. They spoke about how it was decorated with beautiful stones, with gifts that honored God. But Jesus asked, do you see all these things? The time will come when not one stone will be left on top of another. Every stone will be thrown down. Teacher, they said, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign that they are about to take place? Jesus replied, keep watch. Be careful what you are not fooled. Many will come in my name. They will claim I am He. And they will say, the time is near. Do not follow them. Do not be afraid when you hear about wars and about fighting against rulers. Those things must happen first, but the end will not come right away. Then Jesus said to them, nations will fight against nations. Kingdoms will fight against kingdoms. In many places there will be powerful earthquakes. People will go hungry. There will be terrible sicknesses. Things will happen that will make people afraid. There will be great and miraculous signs from the heaven. But before all this, people will arrest you and treat you badly. They will hand you over to synagogues and prisons. You will be brought to kings and governors. All this will happen to you because of my name. In that time you will be witnesses to them. But make up your mind not to worry ahead of time about how to stand up for yourself. I will give you words of wisdom. None of your enemies will be able to withstand them or oppose them. Even your parents, brothers and sisters, relatives and friends will hand you over to the authorities. They will put some of you to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but not a hair on your head will be harmed. If you stand firm, you will gain life. A time is coming when you will see armies surround Jerusalem. Then you will know that it will soon be destroyed. Those who are in Judea should then escape to the mountains. Those in the city should get out. Those in the country should not enter the city. This is the time when God will punish Jerusalem. Everything will come true just as it has been written. How awful will it be in those days for pregnant women? How awful for nursing mothers? There will be terrible suffering in the land. There will be great anger among those people. Some will be killed by the sword. Others will be taken as prisoners to all nations. Jerusalem will be overrun by those who aren't Jews until the times of non-Jews come to an end. There will be miraculous signs in the sun, moon, and the stars. The nations of the earth will be in terrible pain. They will be puzzled by the roaring and tossing of the sea. Terror will make people faint. They will be worried about what is happening in the world. The sun, the moon, and the stars will be shaken from their places. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud. He will come with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up, hold your head up with joy and hope. The time when you will be set free will be very close. Jesus told them a story. Look at the fig tree and all the trees, he said. When you see your leaves appear on the branches, you know that summer is near. In the same way, when you see these things happening, you will know that God's kingdom is near. What I am about to tell you is true. The people living at the time will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Be careful if your hearts will be loaded down with wasteful living, drunkenness and worries of life. Then the day of the Son of Man returns will close on you like a trap. You will not be expecting it. That day will come upon every person who lives on the whole earth. Always keep watching. Pray that you will be able to escape all that is about to happen. Also pray that you will not be judged guilty when the Son of Man comes. Each day Jesus taught at the temple, and each evening he went to spend the night on the hill called the Mount of Olives. All the people came to the temple early in the morning. They wanted to hear Jesus speak.